Yeah, man. They're eating your dragons. They're eating your dragons, man. So get part one, because we're going right in. This is one of those things where I'm going to say, man, part one is Mando. Part one is Mando. To the understanding of what's going on. Because we got all in the script. We got all into the tannin and the tan. Much love again to Yohanatan Hebrew Prince for breaking that down so thoroughly, man. Go subscribe right now, man, to Yohanatan Hebrew Prince for the drop. And subscribe to Natural by Law, man, because he broke down some great research on the dog-headed men. The canines, the Canaanites, right? The canines, the Canaanites, right? The canines, right? And then we, broke down that the fox is the serpent. So in our indigenous mind, we ain't thinking about no snake thing or no dragon-looking thing when we talk serpent or the deceiver or the sly fox. You're talking the dog-headed, man. You're talking the canine, the Canaanite, right? But why would they eat your dragons, though? I mean, if dragons aren't real, why would you eat an angel? Would that angel give you life? Did the dragon that came from Moses' rod, did it give you life or death? Oh yeah, I mean, the Most High can curse you with the dragon, or he can give you life, right? The copper dragon that Moses made, whoever he breathed on, gave him life. They call it a bite. Why are they eating your dragons, man? Prester John and the Gypsies. Out the University of Toledo by David J. Nimitz. Let's just get to it. Because when you talk gypsies, you're talking Egyptsies. And this is one of the rare publications that I've seen talking about the Ethiopians, the Western Europe, the Ethiopians in Western Europe. And you say, well, who's that? You know what I mean? Like, who's the Ethiopian in Western Europe? Reload my document. Let's talk about the Crusaders. You got the document, man. Pull it up. Let's read. Let's get it. Because we just want to do reading, man. We like to read around here. We're like a big old book club, man. We're like a gigantic book club, man. And all y'all that are supporting the wave, much ahab to you. And much ahab to my sister Nara Graham for the wonderful donation. Ahab. Again, much ahab to Calvin Niles as well. As well as all our dragon sponsors on the wall. Much ahab to you for keeping the water flowing in our investigation. We got a brand new dragon sponsor on the wall. Ahab to James Dorsey, man. My brother James Dorsey for your dragon sponsorship, man. And keeping the water flowing for the tribe. Much ahab, James Dorsey. Let go. Why are they eating the Naga? I mean, it's all fake, right? Either dragons aren't real, or they gotta be Satan, or they gotta be the devil. But the fox plays the role of a serpent. I mean, we know that now. The greater Exodus, right? J. Fitzgerald Lee. So we got this. I mean, we dug on this. Go super speed. Who's the serpent to you? Not to the Christian, not to the invader. Who's the serpent to you? Who plays the role of the serpent to you? Here we go. Oh man, we gotta get deep in this book, man. We're gonna be talking about the Sambanyan again, the red Jews, right? The red men, right? In the loss of paradise and the events connected with it, the fox plays the part ascribed to the serpent in the Hebrew legend. The Egyptian legend, the jackal is the tempter. So that's when we started digging on the cynocephalus, the phallus, right? The cynocephalus, the cynocephalus, right? The sin, the children of sin, right? We started looking at these jackals and this whole Anubis situation. So we do realize that the fox is the sly one, right? The deceiver, right? Swiper, no swiping. Love to the family, man. Forgot your name, but you left a great comment, man. Love to you know who you are. He said, swiper, no swiping. I said, that's right. The fox is the swiper. You got Fox News, right? So the fox is the serpent to us. Now let's dig on what this dragon is, since we know that the fox is the serpent to us, the dog-headed man, right? Oh, Columbus. Oh, St. Christopher, the dog-head. So why are they eating your dragons? Why is the serpent, why is the dog-headed man eating your dragon? Crusaders consisted of feudal nobility, soldiers, pilgrims, and adventurers of all sorts, and from all parts of Western Europe, joined and manipulated by Italian merchants. It has been said that before the Crusades, communities throughout the greater part of Europe have lived very much to themselves, in limited contact with the outside world, but by the year 1200 it is safe to infer that practically every town and village of France, England, Germany, and Italy held someone who had visited the East and brought back marvelous tales about it. Meanwhile, Western Europe, toward the end of the Crusades, had launched itself into an era of rapid economic growth and change, involving cathedral buildings, urbanization, forest clearing. So now it's going into an era of growth after being, just basically just the, bottom of the bottom. Just a savage place with savage people. Right now they are being enlightened. Now they have urbanization, forest clearing. And it's ambitious yet deeply religious and highly superstitious people lived in constant anticipation of receiving more marvelous news and gifts from the East. Their expectations, no doubt, had some specific relationship with Scripture. And they go to Matthew 2:1-12, and the Bible describes the arrival of wise men from the East bearing rich gifts, right? Remember Prester John? This is Prester John, the legend. Well, this is Prester John and the Gypsies, and we will be getting back into Prester John, the legend, and the sources dropped on us by Ahchwa Battle. You already know. Wise men from the East bearing rich gifts. There is an interesting paragraph written in the 13th century. Pay attention, Drop Nation. Angels and Dragons, Part 2. Let go. There's an interesting paragraph written in the 13th century by the English philosopher scholar Roger Bacon. Roger Bacon plays a key role when it comes to the real spill and dragons. These are dragon breeders. They bred dragons, literally. The Bacons, right? English philosopher, 13th century, so we're talking the 1200s. This is a key period in time, a very pivotal time for the golden age of the Naga. It's still taking place. Roger Bacon about some exotic strangers in Western Europe called Ethiopians. So you don't hear a lot about Ethiopians in Western Europe. But who are they calling Ethiopians? Just some more Moors, right? Just some more Moors, right? We're talking Western Europe, quote, Ethiopian. So they're not, they're just saying this is, remember what Rudolph Sanders says, this is Ethiopia. Is just another generic term for a dark-skinned person or a person of color. A melanated man or woman would be an Ethiopian, quote unquote. It's a Greek term, apdios, it's a Greek term. Get out the mind of a hijack. This is not your word. You have no ownership here. So some melanated people are in Western Europe. Some melanated people are in Western Europe. Some melanated people, right, are in Western Europe. Man, and this show kind of tells it all, man. You got the hijack, and then you got, kind of the more element going on. We know it's more on more war, right? You got these people fighting against these people. Black Britain, huh? Who are the Ethiopians in Western Europe? We're talking Spain, right? We're talking Italy, right? This is a Russian. This is a Russian. Let's go. Russian general in the 1600s. Tsar Peter of Russia. See his frizz. This is a Duke of Russia, Prussia, one of the knights. On the walls, man, Valerian, the Elder, 253. Who's this? Oh, a young soldier of the Holy Roman Empire during the 30 Years' War. This is a Roman soldier. A young boy. See these, they try to hide it, man, but you see a lot of melanin going on. Who's that? Charlemagne. Holy Roman Emperor. Edith of England and Otto. So who are the Ethiopians in Western Europe? Oh, King Charles of France. Remember what Benjamin Franklin said? They're all swarthy. We're talking angels and dragons. So you got these exotic strangers in Western Europe. They're exotic, right? The reptile, let's talk dragons for a second. The reptile that the Ethiopians, these dark-skinned people over here, eat is the dragon. Now, who was eating the dragon? Were the actual dragon riders? And we're going to talk about the dragon riders. And we're going to get back in Prester John, Legend of Sources, because we're just talking Prester John the whole time. Look out for Prester John number 40. But we're always talking Prester John. I mean, we're always searching for David. Because it blows everything wide open. You don't have room for anything else once you realize who and what we're talking about. And how recent we're talking. And what really happened. Other philosophies just don't fit in no more. There's no space for them when you have Joshua literally in the 1100s. David literally in the 1200s. Literally. Where's Jesus come in if you have David in the 1200s? Now you see David will be shepherd forever. He has the fountain of youth. He's the Magi, right? He has dragons, right? I mean, Moses made a copper dragon off the fly. So there's always been this connection here. We're going to get back into all these, man. Back into the Tannins, man. Back into the script. But who's eating dragons, man? I mean, this is crazy, right? Because this is, again, written in the, we got it on the top. Oh, there we go right there. 1266. So this is written in 1266 by Opus Magus. Is he bullshitting you? All you can do is read it. He's telling you what he's witnessing. I can't speak on it. We can't speak on it. We can't call it bullshit unless we know. We can't be false witnesses. We're not there, right? So all we can do is dig and put it together with what we're digging on. And this is right up our alley. Why? Because you see why they've been eating the Naga. Why they came to this country, to this continent, digging up Indian bodies and eating them. Remember. When you talk dragon, you're talking what? Oh, that's conceptions of many races and people, but who are we focusing on? Yeah, it's a huge serpent, but what's that, a snake? No, it's a dragon. Are we talking seraphim? Are we talking angels? Well, let's keep reading. Giant sea fish, we're talking Leviathan. Yeah, okay. Stems from Dirkest Thigh, which is to see clearly. We're talking seeing something clearly. To see. Visible. I have seen. Clear. Okay. All right. We're talking seraph. Angel of the highest order. Obviously, we're talking dragon. And why are they eating dragons in Western Ethiopia or Western Europe? Ethiopians eating dragons. Black people, right? Black folk in Europe, right? Black folk in Europe, right? Not all of them, just the hijacks. Dragon, yeah, it's the winged serpent, right? Shooting stars, shooting meteors, comets, right? But it's also a fierce or violent person. Anyone fierce or violent toward their oppressor? Anyone feel the rage to be fierce or violent towards a force that's oppressing you? Jacking you? Killing you? Well, then you're a fierce or violent person towards the hijack, male or female, as this man or woman is a dragon. What dragons are they eating? This man or woman is a dragon. What dragons are they eating? What type of rituals are they doing? What's the drop? The reptile that the Ethiopians eat is the dragon. For it is well known that wise Ethiopians have come to Italy and Spain and France and England. What did Benjamin Franklin say? They're all swarthy. They're all swarthy. They're all swarthy, man. Ethiopians in Western Europe. All swarthy. It is well known that these wise, swarthy black folk have come to Italy, Spain, France, and England, in those countries of the Christians where there are good flying dragons. So who they're calling wise Ethiopians are other melanated people, other melanated tribes that are holding down other areas, that are at war with the other melanated tribes from biblical times, whether it's Moab and Israel or whatever confederacy they're making. These are the wise dark folk, right? Black folk, Ethiopians, you know. These are these, you know what I'm saying, the hijack of the hijacks, because when you are at war against your own brother and you over here putting them into, you know, fear spells and eating dragons and stuff, this ain't white people doing this. This is black people doing this. Other tribes. Other tribes, man. You know, this is tribal. You got one tribe against another tribe. It's all biblical, right? It's historic. Tribal war. You know, and the white man just getting in where he fit in. He said, all right, cool. Well, since you're having this war anyway, let me get in where I fit in. You remember the blackface where all the, you know, white folk and all the whites in Spain painted their faces black with the red lips, you know. Those are who they're calling the wise Ethiopians in Western Europe. And they are known to come to Italy, Spain, France, and England, who are those countries of the Christians, they say. But we're talking the 1300s, and Benjamin Franklin is saying they're all still black, all still swarthy in 1751. So if they're all still swarthy in 1751, that means in 1266, when this Press of John and the Gypsies is being, or this quote is being quoted by Opus Magus, we're just talking about more swarthy situations, man. All throughout Europe. This is the Roman general Mortilius, or Maurice. Say Maurice. We'll get more on that too, man. So when he goes to those countries of what? St. Maurice, right? Italy, Spain, France, and England. When these so-called black people roll up on those so-called black people, they know that in their country, in England, France, Spain, and Italy, there are already good flying dragons. I'm not making this shit up. It's been a dragon war, people. And that by occult arts, this is what you got to listen to, because this is what the wise Ethiopians did. They used occult arts, right? Magic, which they possess. They drive the dragons out of their caves, and they have an art of preparing their flesh. and they partake of it against accidents of old age, and prolong their lives, make their intellect settle. Settle means, you know, it's at such a high level. They just call it settle. I don't even know. It's super smart. All right, settle. Oh, you're a settled intellect. It's so sharp. So what you're learning is that eating dragon flesh, or this man or woman is a dragon. By eating these men or women that are dragons, and they partake of it against accidents of old age, they reverse their age. It's like eating the fountain of youth when you eat you a naga. Oh man, you eat you some nigga meat, some naga meat. Oh, this man or woman that is a dragon. Oh man, woo! You'll reverse your age, man, against accidents of old age. Prolong your lives, man. You'll live longer if you eat some naga, some dragon. It makes their intellect settle beyond all estimation. So you get super intellectual and you live a longer time just by eating these dragons. Just by eating these dragons. I hope you see clearly. I read this book, man. I forgot what the ship was called, but it's one of them military, ships or Navy vessels, and there was a exploration team or whatever, man, that they hit an iceberg or whatever the case was, and they were stranded, and it didn't take them long to run out of food. And as soon as they ran out of food, there was only probably about 7 or 8, brothers on deck, man, so-called black folk on deck, and they started hunting them down one by one. All the white people on the ship, all the whites started hunting down all the dragons, man, to eat them before turning on each other. Yeah, man, when these people get hungry, they start craving dragon meat. To partake of it against accidents of old age and prolong their lives and make their intellect settle beyond all estimation. It is not necessary to speculate here that these so-called Ethiopians were in fact gypsies or Egyptians, but only to comment on the surprising amicable attitude. That means they had a great attitude of the Western European towards the Egyptians. So it was already a confederacy. They had an amicable attitude. They had a good attitude towards each other. Why? Why would the Western European more have an amicable attitude towards the Egyptians? Don't they already have a connection, Moab and Egypt? With permission of the Pharaoh, we can claim this whole land of Ame'rican. Don't they already have a good attitude? So of course they had a good attitude towards each other when it came to eating your dragons, preparing your flesh, partaking of it against accidents of old age. To explain part of the reason why gypsies were well regarded and well treated on their first arrival, other than them already having a confederacy, more on more. Psalms 83. We can turn now to a discussion of Prester John and its legend. Well, let's go there. Let's talk about Prester John and the legend. Ahchwa got the drop. We're just talking the knights, the nagas. We're just talking Priest King Prester John holding the towel, the Templar up. Get your overstanding over here. We're selling overstanding pies Overstanding enchiladas. Understanding taquitos. Let's go. There we go. Try to go to this page, man. What page should I go to? 78. Alright, let's try that. So as we talk angels and dragons, we're gonna get in, back into some of this letter of Prester John and, tie this into what's happening in the kingdom of the priest King Prester John. Hosea 3 and 5, Israel will return, seek their creator and David. So it always is important to understand when you have a David in your midst. You need to, see it from a full dragonfly perspective, because a dragonfly sees 360 degrees panorama. You're going to have to be able to see all angles of this, man. Remember, we're just talking about seeing clearly, to see clearly. It is what it is. It means what it means. Are we talking etymology of dragon? We're just talking etymologies? Okay. Greek and Latin, ancient Greek had the word dragon. So when I say dragon, that G and the C or K are all interchangeable when you're dealing with this language stuff, man, this philology, right? So remember the tricks and the one-letter rules and all the stuff that even Horace Butler told you about, how the G's and the C's are interchangeable. So the Khan is the dragon, which means what? Serpent or dragon. In addition, this term relates to others, which means things along the lines of sharp-sighted. To see clearly, sharp-sighted. You have a sharp sight. To watch, to look at. And then you go into the Norse, the British drag. This is a very interesting word to relate to the dragons of Ireland, as many of them were more closely connected with water. For instance, Murdris was a huge water serpent, and there is no mention of him being able to breathe fire. Then you got Welsh. The word for dragon is droch, which also refers to the red dragon of Wales. The best known dragon of Wales is Y or Ye Droch Gok, or the red dragon, which can be found on the Welsh flag. It is also interesting to note that in Welsh, the word dragog, means silent meteors. Uh-oh. Hold up, man. You mean when we look at dragon in 1828, it also says it's a shooting meteor? Comment. We're going to get back into Tecumseh part 2. Look out for it. I mean, we just surfing the wave. Tecumseh literally means shooting meteor, shooting star, shooting comet, which literally means dragon. What you're getting here, which of course we already know, to see clearly, right? Sharp-sighted. We're just digging on etymology, and dragon here in the British Isles also meant silent meteors. Are we seeing a lot of silent meteors these days? In a way, the connection between these two words suggests that dragons were seen as destructive force. However, why Dragog was used for the flag because of its symbol of authority. So we're getting a lot of authority. So what's the alchemy? Do you see clearly? Are you sharp-sighted? Now, just some terminology that you're going to need to know when you deal with alchemy is, when you dig on angels or dragons or seraphim, conscientio, a bringing together of opposites that results in the mystical or divine water. That results in the mystical or divine water, the bitter water. The bringing together of opposites that results in the mystical water, the bitter water. So what's so important about this conscientio? Why must they bring together opposites? Why must they form bitter water? And you're going to realize that you have this alchemical serpent, love to Miss D. She dropped this on us, man. Miss D, the copper color awakening. And then you got the alchemical dragon. So, if the dragon is the serpent, then why in alchemy are there two distinctively different things and terms completely? These are distinctly different. So every time you look up and you see dragon, and you get this serpent thing, oh, it's a huge serpent. Well, again, over here, dragon, it's a winged serpent. When you dig deeper and you get alchemical with it, there's an alchemical dragon and there's an alchemical serpent. Is there a difference between a dragon and a serpent? It seems like it. So why is this used to cover that up? Why do they use whales to cover up Phineas and real dragons? They always call them whales, like Moby Dick was originally about a white dragon, and then it became a story about a whale. But the whale is still the dragon. But if you don't know that, you think it's just a story about a whale. If you don't know that a dragon and a serpent are two different things, then you're going to let them keep fooling you, and you'll stop right there. Look, it's the serpent, it's the serpent, it's Satan. Well, isn't Satan also an angel? And does that make all angels bad? Because Satan's an angel? So if Satan's a dragon or a serpent, does it make all dragons bad? You're talking about the creations of our Creator. So quickly, you got this link before. The alchemical dragon represents the philosophical quicksilver. It's philosophical because they are just philosophizing about something they really don't know about. So they got these weird terms, right? It's philosophical quicksilver. Unlike ordinary mercury. What's ordinary mercury? Thoth. It's unlike Thoth. It's unlike Hermes Trismegistus. The philosophical quicksilver is a mysterious substance of unknown origin. I'm just talking dragon to you. They're letting you know in alchemy that it's a mysterious substance of unknown origin. We don't know anything about what this and where this dragon come from and who these Nagas are, where did these original Americans come from. We don't know about any of that or that. They're just philosophizing. It's philosophical. It's philosophical. It's mysterious. They can't tell us who we are. How can they tell us who we ain't? Mysterious substance of unknown origin. We don't know. So from here on out, it's all philosophical. If they don't know it in the books, and if they don't know it in alchemy, in the deepest, highest level of science vibration they got, they still don't know. It's unknown. They don't know about the dragon. They don't know about the Negro, the American, the copper-colored Naga found here by the European. They're writing inquiries into the distinctive characteristics of the Aboriginal in America. I have the publication published in the Boston Society in the 50s, man. In the 1800s, man. Just know that you are unknown and your dragon is unknown. So don't let them put serpent on you when there's a difference in the serpent. And we even know here that the fox plays the part ascribed to the serpent in the Hebrew legend. Just like the Egyptian legend has the jackal, we're still talking the fox. The serpent is the fox. The serpent is the fox. Study the cult of Mithras or Mithrias. You'll see where all this halo stuff goes back to Mithras. Oh, we're going to go there. So, when you talk alchemical serpent, let's get this first. Nah, let's get the serpent first. Let's get the fox. Let's go. Or if you want to call it a snake, let's get the snake. But just know that the fox plays the role of the serpent in your indigenous mentality. Serpents often represent the impersonal nature of the unconscious. Just think about the fox for a second. Serpents represent the impersonal nature. That's a synthetic nature. That's not personal. It's impersonal. Of the unconsciousness. This is a synthetic that does what? Burst into consciousness. It's just now getting life. It's just now getting life. They're just now eating your dragons. The reptile that the Ethiopians eat is the dragon. Why? Because they get life. It makes their lives, prolongs their lives against accidents of old age. They get life from eating life, right? But what's happening here? They're also hijacking and eating the life as it bursts into consciousness, especially in mythology and dreaming. When the act of conscientio, we just got that, right? The bringing together of opposites occurs. The serpent is frequently part of the symbolism when you're bringing opposites together. So they say what? Opposites attract. Is it true? Or do like vibrations attract? Why do they got us thinking opposites attract? Because they want us to be okay with their opposite ass. Because when the Ethiopians in Western Europe sent our opposites on us here, what did they do? They burst into consciousness, right? It's a renaissance. It's a dream. It's white heaven. Bringing together of opposites occurs. The serpent is frequently part of the symbolism. The serpent. We're talking cynocephalus. Let's go. Swiper, no swiping, right? Swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping. Come on, man. This ain't no play. I'm just talking Columbus. Christopher. Huh? Huh? What? Come on, man. We talking the same thing. We talking the same thing, right? We talking the same thing, man. Ain't nothing to it. Dog-headed St. Christopher, man. Egyptian jackal god Anubis. We talking the same thing, man. It becomes the symbolism. Serpents represent everything from the monstrous snake to the cosmic serpent. The cosmic serpent spirit, the supreme serpent, brings everything to life, but also does what? Kills everything. So once they burst into consciousness from eating you, from eating your dragon, from you know what I'm saying, hijacking your energy, draining you of your energy, then they kill everything. Kills everything. The monstrous serpent is an impediment, a danger. When a person hides in false shelter or prison, violence and fire is needed to escape the danger of the diabolical serpent. They need violence, false shelter, prison. Sound like martial law? To escape the danger of the diabolical serpent, man. Come on, man. Against accidents of old age, they eat you to get life. Let's go. Alchemical dragon. The alchemical dragon represents the philosophical quicksilver. Unlike ordinary mercury, thought, the philosophical quicksilver is a mysterious substance of unknown origin. From this quicksilver, the living spirit can be extracted. The living spirit can be extracted. The living spirit can be extracted. They're getting life. It prolongs their lives. Makes their intellect subtle beyond all estimation. The reptile the Ethiopians eat is the dragon. Let's go, man. From this quicksilver, the living spirit can be extracted from the dragon, man. Why are they eating you? They're eating the angels. They're eating the dragons. An angel is not separate than a dragon. That's what we need to, this is part 2, so you can start seeing clearly. They just formed a duplicate and called it something else and gave you another image of a man with wings. So do you believe there's a man with wings? Or a literal dragon, a guardian dragon, something that's a part of the natural spiral and protection of the earth. And that's why they must slay the dragon, because they're slaying you. That's why every hijack, king or Camelot situation, author has to slay the dragon. Well, whose side are you on? Authors? If the hijack must slay the dragon, does that mean that the indigenous must slay the dragon? You can't both be slaying the dragon, because the dragon's gonna fight one or both of y'all. If the dragon is fighting the hijack, maybe you need to be on the side of the dragon. Unless you want to be on the side of the hijack. You're gonna have to choose a side, because the dragon is what burnt down Sodom and Gomorrah. And the dragon will burn down all the hijack again. The Most High said, I won't destroy it by water, but boy, oh boy, dragon fire is coming. While the dragon does not represent the living spirit, it is the vessel in which the spirit is contained, which also means it must represent the living life. All right. Some alchemical texts mention a process to identify the spirit or the soul of all things. The dragon is prepared from the philosopher's venom. The Mercurius fires up the primordial dragon, giving it wings. Well, they just said it's unlike ordinary mercury, but they're still saying it's Mercurius. Dodge the hijack. It's unlike anything they know. It is absolutely unknown. The universal spirit is the blood of that dragon. The universal spirit is the blood of that dragon. Translate that. See it clearly. That means the spirit of the creator is the blood of the dragon. What's the dragon? The fierce or violent person towards the hijack. Fierce or violent person towards the invader. The Tecumseh. The shooting meteor. The shooting meteor. Etymology, right? Meteor, right? Tecumseh, right? This person, this male or this female, this man or this woman is the dragon. So they're trying to get your soul. You are the vessel. They're trying to get your soul. You are the vessel in which the spirit is contained. You are the spirit. That's the Ruach. The universal spirit, the spirit of Ahchwa, is the blood of the dragon, is the blood of the man or woman, the fierce or violent person towards the hijack, the Joshua, the Hawashuas, the Moshes, the Davids. Fierce or violent towards the hijack is the spirit of the Most High, the blood in that dragon. The dragon, as a fabulous winged being, symbolizes philosophical renewal. Why must they eat you? They partake of it against accidents of old age, prolonging their lives. They are prolonging their lives. They're getting renewal from eating you. I'm not talking serpents, man. That's something else, right? We're talking cynocephalus, right? We must be talking cynocephalus because the fox plays the part ascribed to the serpent in the Hebrew legend, the jackal. Nah, man, I'm not talking jackal. I'm not talking a jackal that kills everything, boss. I'm not talking the conscientio. I'm not talking about the act of conscientio, the bringing together of your opposites. The hijack virus is your opposite. I'm talking life. I'm talking renewal. Renewal. This dragon represents divine water and power. Water, power. We know it represents earth, and we know it represents the fire. We know it represents the ether. And how do they slay the alchemical dragon? Only the act of the product of conscientio, the coming together of opposites. So when they brought your opposites, when they brought your opposites, when they decided to form a confederacy against you, man, look, man, when they decided to form a confederacy against you, boss, it was more and more war, and they brought you your opposites. They're telling you the whole story. And this is how they slayed the dragon, slayed the naga, slayed the fierce and violent person, the male and the female, the man and the woman. This is how they slay. With the coming together of opposites. It was alchemy that brought you down. This is the magic they used against you. They brought your opposites. They created your opposites, and then they sent your opposites on you. The worst of the heathen. Only the coming together of opposites can slay the alchemical dragon, commonly written as the mercurial dragon. Nah, man, because it's unlike ordinary mercury. Oh, man. Let's go. We're just talking about slaying the dragon. We're just talking about angels and dragons. We're talking about the seraphim. Oh, man, we just getting started, man. We just getting started. We're talking about the seraphim, the seraph, right? The highest order of angel, right? An angel of the highest order. I mean, this is Angels and Dragons Part 2, man. Ahchwa Shabatah. (1828) Webster Dictionary, an angel of the highest order. Got it. Seraph, serpent. Which one? I mean, we just decided that there's an alchemical serpent and an alchemical dragon. So we must not be talking dragon, or are they just falsely using this serpent to refer to dragon like they normally do? So we know we're talking angels of the highest order. You either have a snake, you have a dragon, or, hey, the fox plays the part ascribed to the serpent. So maybe you're dealing with a fox. So those are three options we have when we talk serpent. And you're going to have to use everything in context and use your brain bone and put it together. Pray to our Creator to grant you, your mama, your wisdom so you can put it all together. Because every time you see serpent, they're either going to be talking either one, right? Remember, we dug on the concordance, man. We dug on the lexicon. When we saw tannin, we know we're talking dragon. When we saw tan, we know we're talking a jackal. So they made it very similar, but there's a difference. We're going to get some more of that real soon. So we know we're talking jackal when we're talking tan, right? Okay. You know you're talking dragon. You know you're talking dragon when you're talking tannin. This is not plural. This is a singular form right here, tannin. If you want to make it plural, it'll be like tannin, right? If you want to make this plural, it's tannim with an M. And that's where the confusion is. This tannim, which is a plural form of tan, so it's a whole den of jackals, you know, versus this tannin and tanninim. All right, come on. We're just digging on it. Don't mind us. We're going to get into this bite, right, where Moses said, you know, when the Most High told Moses, whoever the fire bites, or these snakes bite, this nachash, this nashach. And, you know, is it talking about literally biting like you think, like two jaws coming together? Or are we talking, you know, something a little more, you know, kind of figurative? You know, we're talking more of a, let's see. They shall bite you fatally, figuratively, as they bite the people fatally, both of serpents. What kind of bite is this? Bite, lend upon usury, lend upon usury. A primitive root, to strike with a sting. Okay, now we're getting clear about the bite of the serpent. You're thinking of snake bite, right? As a serpent, but which one? You mean as a dragon or as a snake? You got to ask that. Or as a fox, you know? Fox is always in play. But when the Most High is saying whoever this dragon bites, right, or this serpent bites, is he literally biting you, or is he stinging you with something? Is this dragon stinging you with fire? Does the fire sting? So just because you see it translated as bite, you're talking about a stinging sensation that comes from what? We are talking dragon, right? We're not talking serpent. We know there's a difference between the dragon and the serpent. There's a difference in alchemy. That means there's a difference, man. It's a frequency war. So when we talk seraph, right, or the highest order of the angels, right, an angel of the highest order, we are talking the dragon. Seraph, seraphim, majestic beings with 6 wings. 6 wings. Seraph, angel of the highest order, has 6 wings. Human hands and voices in attendance with Ahchwa. Okay. We got the drop on Isaiah 6. Alright, above it stood seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, 2 his feet, 2 he flew. So the seraph is flying. And one cried into another and said, Holy, holy, and holy is Ahchwa. The whole earth is full of his glory. Okay. They want to just make it, it must be a fallen one. They want to demonize this, but we're talking angels of the highest order. You cannot demonize an angel of the highest order. And some people talking down on us for getting the drop, you know what I'm saying, of what this seraph is or what this dracon really is, and how intimate the connection is between the native or real indigenous autochthon people and this dragon spiral frequency, this 9, this 4 + 3 + 2. You're talking down on the angels of the highest order, boss. Because how can you say it's not a dragon, man? It has wings and it's flying. What else about a seraphim? Let's get some more drop. I know we've been brainwashed and we're coming out of it. We're coming out of her, and these are some of the things that's important to the wake up, man. Because if every Naga realized that you got a dragon just for you, a guardian angel, a guardian dragon, then that's the power you need to overcome any storm. That's better than any weapon you can conjure up to know you have a guardian angel, right? A guardian dragon willing and waiting for you to get on its frequency. These serpents, right, with wings, in fact, I'm pretty sure they qualify them as dragons. I'm aware that the immediate reaction of most conservative Christians don't have the same reaction as most conservative Christians. If they hate the dragon and you hate the dragon, boss, there's a problem. When you agree with Christians on something of this magnitude, as angels and seraph of the highest order with wings flying, you're lost in the sauce. You're agreeing with most conservative Christians. And you take offense just like them. So you might call yourself something different, but you're just a conservative Christian. On some things, you know. So they assume he's attacking the Bible. Or you assume we're attacking our power by discussing dragons. You know, it must be something demonic. You must be going against your power. Let's go, man. So you take offense, man. But stop for a moment, though, and look at the definition in the text box above. From the respected Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, you will find all Hebrew lexicons give similar definition, because Isaiah 6 is not the only place that the word seraphim is used. It's just translated as snakes all the other places. The scholarship behind the translations, I had always wondered about these strange creatures. Isaiah 6 says they had 6 wings, they fly with 2, cover their feet with 2, and they cover their faces with 2. When Isaiah saw them, they were shouting, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole world, the whole earth is full of his glory. They were shouting this to one another. They were praising Ahchwa. These dragons, these highest dragons are praising Ahchwa. Just because Satan's an angel, are all angels bad? If you want to call the dragon in the garden Satan, cool. But does that make all dragons bad, or was Satan doing Satan? Remember, Satan's walking through in the book of Job, right? He's walking to and fro. Most High says, hey man, have you considered Job? He's invited to the meeting. He's in the garden. Are we talking an angel? Are we talking someone who works with and for the Creator against all hijack and will work against you when you're out of order, out of your commandments, out of your league? So the Hebrew word seraph is used 7 times in the script. So you can dig on it more in Numbers 21 like we did last part, Deuteronomy 8, Isaiah 14, 30. All right, so we got some of this last time. We got it quickly. Seraphim is just the plural of seraph. Except in Isaiah 6, it is translated fiery serpent or something very close to that. So something about fire, you know, in case you thought these were just men with wings, something about fiery ones is connected to this seraph. The last 2 times it's used in Isaiah 14, 29 and 36. Those fiery serpents are said to fly too. Now, I have no way of knowing what you think about dragons in heaven, but to me, that's one of the most interesting things I've ever discovered. Tell me you don't like dragons, apart from a Christian context, Christian hijack, brainwash. Everyone loves dragons, especially when they're yours. And they help you get your land back and secure your land in the vortexes of the earth. This is what they're created for. This is what an angel is. Don't listen to hijacks, man. They'll have you fighting against your own angels. They'll have you fighting against Ahchwa. I'm saying Ahchwa. I'm saying they'll have you fighting against Ahchwa. Ahchwa is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer, my power, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler, the horn of my salvation. This is David crying out to Ahchwa in Psalms 18. I will call upon Ahchwa, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. The sorrows of death compassed me. The floods of ungodly men made me afraid. Ain't this your situation right now? Don't you want to be saved from your enemies? Your invaders? The sorrows of death are compassing you, my naga. The floods of ungodly men and women, man, they're making us afraid. They're putting us in fear. The sorrows of hell are compassing us. The snares of death are preventing us. Isn't this you, my naga? In my distress, I called upon Ahchwa and cried unto Ahchwa. He heard my voice out of his temple. What? Ahchwa heard David's distress, and my cry came before him, even into his ears. So Ahchwa is being described as having ears, at least in the form he's in at this moment. When David's talking on him. All right, so we have ears on Ahchwa. What else do we have? Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken because he was wroth. There went up smoke out of his nostrils and fire out of his mouth. So we have Ahchwa that's hearing, right? He has ears. He's hearing David's cry, his distress. Then he gets, wroth, angry, right? And the whole earth shakes and smoke comes out of Ahchwa's nostrils and fire comes out of Ahchwa's mouth. Now, This is one very rare occasion that we're talking about Hawa having ears, nostrils, and fire out of his mouth, smoke out of his nose. Coals were kindled by it. He devoured. He bowed the heavens, came down, darkness under his feet, rode upon the cherub, and did fly. So he didn't just like disappear and reappear in man form, right? He came in battle form. He came in dragon form. He was breathing smoke out of his nostrils and fire out of his mouth, devouring. He bowed the heavens and did fly. He did fly upon he did fly upon the wings of the wind, with smoke out of his nose and fire out of his mouth, man. Yeah. In my distress, I called upon the Lord. We're talking the Creator. The Creator can take the form of a butterfly, can take the form of a caterpillar, but in battle form, best believe, smoke's out of his nostrils and fire is out of his mouth. I know Christians might not read that, in context, but why not in a Christian context? Do dragons have anything at all to do with Christian theology? Why can't we have dragons in heaven? Why should they be offensive to us? They shouldn't. Man, let's go. Satan the snake, angels or dragons, Old Testament world. I'm just brushing up on some of the parts we got cut off on. The serpent was more cunning than the beast of the field. Cunning like what? Cunning like what? Swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping. The fox plays the part ascribed to the serpent in the Hebrew legend. The Egyptian jackal. Got it. Got it. Okay. Cunning. The serpent, or the fox, was more cunning than the beast of the field and tempted Eve to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. When she did so, her eyes were open and she could discern good and evil. Interesting thing is the word serpent here is the exact same word for foretelling the future, divination, prophesying, or discerning. So the discerner was more discerning than the beast and tempted Eve to eat the tree of discerning good and evil. See a pattern? All right, we got more about this seraph, 6 wings. I've always imagined them as humans, right? We've always imagined these high order of angels. We're just talking the highest order of angels. Highest order. I always imagined them as humans, and they were always described as being at the very top of the different orders of angels, right? Seraphim, cherubim, archangels, then angels. Interesting thing is the word seraph literally means fiery serpent, man. And is translated that way in most locations, including Numbers 21, 6-8, Deuteronomy 8:15. So we have fiery serpents with wings. Sounds to me like dragons. So the seraphim are not some angelic human beings with wings. Instead, they are huge, fiery, 6-winged dragons. Weird. And that may be connected back to the serpent in the Garden of Eden. The serpent, assuming it was something like a seraphim, would have been a glorious dragon accustomed to flying. And as punishment, he had to crawl on the ground, no longer flying and walking. That's what we're saying. But is it weird? This is from atam.org. Y'all, the links below, click them. We're talking dragons in our head, man. For everything that is considered positive or good, there is always or also the counterpart or opposite. The Creator set things up that way or allowed it as a teaching tool until we're no longer under natural and elemental tutors. Make sure you can see it all. Back up a little bit. A little better. Trying to get it all in there for you. You know, just pull the link up, man. Pull the link up, man. Let's go. Pull the link up. Let's go. The Creator set things up that way and allowed it as a teaching tool until we're no longer under natural and elemental tutors. At that point, the realm of duality will merge into oneness. We're talking about coming back to one. 432 brings things together, brings you to you, brings you to you. So what is it about serpentine beings, dragons, that they are placed in the throne room of the Creator? Dragons in the throne room. They somehow are the guardians of the glory and holiness, whole-eyedness, and seem to usher in this glory. They are constantly declaring, holy, holy, holy. The whole earth is filled with His glory. On a metaphysical level, right? We just got the alchemical. Let's get the metaphysical level. The throne room represents the head. You don't like dragons? You don't like your own head? The throne room represents the head, the brain, and the mind. The oldest part of your brain is the R complex or reptile complex, which I like to call the serpent brain or the dragon brains. When you keep hearing this serpent brain, reptile thing, these are just other English words to describe the dragon elements, the spiral, the connectivity, the ha-wa. The ha-wa. There went up smoke out of his nostrils and fire out of his mouth devoured. We're talking the ha-wa. The pineal gland also called the seat or throne of the soul, and third eye sits just above the dragon brain. The pineal gland, the pine cone, sits just above the dragon brain. This is the seraph within all humanity. So it's already inside of you. Fire is always associated with dragon and mystical powers. The seraphim, fiery dragons with the coals of fire, right? Coals of fire, right? Smoke out of his nostrils. This is Hawa. And fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. We're talking coals. Let's go. Coals of fire, fiery dragons, the seraphim position are being closest to the throne. Pineal gland is necessary. The seraphim represents the kundalini fire or the dragon fire. In biblical terminology, the Holy Ghost, right? Does that make you more comfortable, Christians? We're just talking the Holy Ghost. Oh no, you're talking Kundalini, Seraphim. Seraphim is the highest orders of the angels, man. And you can't talk highest orders of angels without talking about the fiery ones. As it says in Isaiah 6, the Seraphim literally means the burning ones. The pineal gland sits at the seat, throne of the soul. Third eye sits just above the dragon brain. This is the seraphim within all humanity. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, you know. I'll let you dig on that. These are just a few links that we're digging through. The seraphim are the highest class of angelic Elohim races. These races, or these flying serpentine dragons, are always associated with fire, the glory and holiness of Hawa. In the book of Isaiah, we are given a description of these otherworldly angelic dragon creatures. The prophet Isaiah saw these creatures in the temple and he was instantly changed. And there you got the script right there. Let's go. Pull up all these links. This is from reach/unlimited.com. Fiery seraphim has winged dragons guarding the Lord's throne. All different substantiating resources. For kids, dragons are easily the coolest monsters ever, right? So kids got no fear of this, right? It's as adults, as we get brainwashed, especially through Christianity and other religions, you only see this one side of this dragon situation, not realizing that to you, my naga, the fox plays the role ascribed to the serpent, is the fox, is the cynocephalus, the dog-headed, the jackals. We're realizing that they're eating the dragons in 1266. They're eating them to get life, to partake against accidents of old age and prolong their lives. In Western Europe, unknown to the lay Christian, whose idea of what all angels look like is based on Catholic iconography. So it's your Catholic brainwash. I mean, it's not you. It's just your Catholic brainwash. Human-like with wings, archangels, or children with wings, cherubim. The word seraphim is the only or original Hebrew and Greek means literally fiery serpent or dragon. Because we know there's a difference between a dragon and a serpent, whether you're talking fox or whether you're talking the alchemical serpent or the snake. It's a frequency war. Choose up. Jewish rabbis translated the word seraphim to dracones. So this word has been translated by the rabbis literally to dragons. Literally, but they can't say that, right? They change in the translations. Now we're lost in translations and we're brainwashed by what? Catholic iconography, to thinking that angels, all angels must be human-like with wings, right? Angel, see? You saw another human with wings, right? You keep seeing these human with wings, right? This is the iconography. This is the Catholic iconography. But in reality, since we're being real these days, the seraphim are the dragons, identifying dragons as heavenly creatures. Dragons are heavenly creatures. Angels, dragons are heavenly creatures whose job was to consume the wicked. That's why they're fighting the hijack. That's why the hijack's trying to slay the dragon with what? Your opposites. How do you slay the dragon? Slaying the alchemical dragon. Conjuncio, coming together of opposites, can slay the alchemical dragon, commonly written as mercurial dragon. So the opposite would be the mercurial dragon. It's commonly written as the mercurial dragon. This opposite is commonly written as Mercury, Thoth. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. We're just talking Thoth in there. Mercury, Hermes, Trigonomegistus. I know this is Anubis, but we're connecting all the same damn thing. When they're talking about slaying the dragon. And why? Why, oh why? When the dragons were just here to consume the wicked, now all these hijack, princes need to slay the dragon, right? Those are the Catholics, iconography. Cherubim and seraphim are actually different from the messenger angels, who are the human-like servants of the Lord. This is why we see dragons swallowing sinners, decorating most Christian cathedrals in Europe. In church-sanctioned medieval art, seraphim were depicted as winged dragons. Right? The seraphim are the highest of the order, an angel of the highest order. Medieval art, seraphim were depicted as winged dragons, angels of the highest order. Bible covers of the time of St. Thomas Aquinas show the throne of God flanked by the soul-devouring seraph dragon. Seraphim may also be the guardian winged Mashushu dragons that guarded the throne of God, the gates of heaven, and the sacred groves of Eden. So when Thoth is talking about being chased away by hounds of the barrier, when Thoth says, man, if you go too far, you will be chased by the hounds of the barrier. The hounds are the dragons chasing Thoth, chasing the hijack, chasing Thoth, chasing the hijack, chasing Thoth, chasing the hijack away from getting too high, too much light, chasing Cynoscephalus away, the real serpent, cunning, deceiver, the dog-headed man. I'm just talking about St. Christopher, man. Cristobal, the Christ bearer. The dragons are the hounds of the barrier, chasing away Thoth. He was chased by the hounds of the barrier. Come on, man. These are the same dragans who they call Mashushu dragons that guarded the throne of Ahchwa, the gates of heaven, and the sacred groves of Eden. But where's Eden? We'll get it. It says the word seraph literally means burning ones. The word seraph literally means burning ones, man. Literally. With 6 wings, right? Flying, right? 6-winged dragons. Angels of the highest order. Remember, this man or woman is a dragon. Let's go. So in your, creation, you have, just like the creator, the ability with your energy, with your fire, with your water, with your air, with your earth, to take higher etheric forms. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that you are literally a dragon and that's what all it is, X, Y, and Z. It's just that when you have this frequency, when you're created, when you have the spiral, shit, you can connect to the jaguar. You can connect to whatever animal you need to fight alongside with you. You connect to all nature, and there's no highest order than this seraph, than this dragon. This is the highest order. So when it comes to battle form, you might come in the highest order. Ahchwa is coming in the highest order. There went up smoke out of his nostrils and fire out of his mouth, devoured. Yeah, he flew on the wings of the wind, the highest order. The highest order, the burning ones, fire out of his mouth. We got into the bronze and the difference between the bronze and the copper. How Moses didn't create a bronze thing. He created a copper dragon. Let go. Oh yeah, we're talking the hashes. We're talking what? Bronze, or are we talking copper? So when they translate something that's brazen or brass, it's not brazen or brass, it's copper. When we're reading out of this document from BYU, Brigham Young University in Utah, about Moses and the staff, man, get part 1. Literally turning into a dragon. Fiery flying serpent, they called it. Fiery flying serpent. It's not a brazen serpent, it's a copper dragon. This is why You got that artwork that we showed, briefly last time from some Persian artwork, and it had a little Persian hijack image of Moses, so don't mind the hijack, but they're giving you some drop in it. The staff of Moses is turned into a dragon that devours Pharaoh's men. The staff of Musa. Make sure you can see clearly. There you go. So the staff of Musa, or Moses, right? Mansa Musa, Mu, is turned into a dragon that devours Pharaoh's men. So you got it in your story that it turned into some snake thing and it devoured Pharaoh's snakes. Nah, there's another side of this coin. Like, what year was this? 1577. So this is from 1577. This document here, you see some melanated people around, but then they're gonna make Moses straight hijack. But let's go. You see Moses and his dragon. It's supposed to be Moses here with his dragon. All right, let's go. 1577, man. Dig on it. This is supposed to be Aaron and Moses, whichever one is which. I guess that's Moses and that's Aaron. They're supposed to be conjuring up some dragon. This is from the cover. Now you see the dragon here. Right there. And what's the dragon doing? Devouring Pharaoh's men. So in reality, did Moses create a copper dragon? Or whatever dragon that devoured Pharaoh's men, not just devoured a snake, right? Devoured Pharaoh's men. Is that what this said? The staff of Musa, Moses, is turned into a dragon that devours Pharaoh's men. All right, so he devoured Pharaoh's men in 1577. This is artwork from that in Persia. So we're going to get into the dragon in Eden, Nachash, dragon in the garden. Let's finish this up right quick. All right, cool. So we got the seraph, Isaiah 6 wings. We got that used 7 times in the scripture. All right, then you got this curse when you're talking about the garden, which the creator, Ahchwa, placed upon Satan was not literally turning him into an earthly snake with no wings, for he was fiery seraphim that once flew, but rather to be trapped in a lower dimension. So by crawling on his belly, he's literally being trapped in a lower dimension, deceived by his own vanity and deceiving others, doomed until judgment day when he is cast in the lake of fire forever. As a seraph ranked the highest among the angelic hierarchy, Satan, blinded by pride, greed, and ambition, loses the holy fire of the Lord. He lost his fire, a blessing which empowers the champions of the Lord to defeat an unholy enemy and do the Lord's will. This anointing is given instead to Michael the archangel and his 6 other angels. So they got the fire, who rise from the second lowest choir to intervene and block off an all-out assault by Satan and his seraphim choir host of the Lord's throne. All by themselves, Michael and the 6 lower-ranked angels defeat a higher-ranked seraph and his rebel angel host and smite them down as quick as lightning, striking the earth. Another biblical reference. This lore is revealed in the book of Enoch and on Hebrew texts about angelology. All right. So you have this dragon war going on. You got this dragon war. You can get into the myths of the flying dragons as kings or rulers. All right. There's a connection between kings and rulers being dragons, literally. They say Catholic priests even warn that there's little knowledge, that a little knowledge is dangerous, thinking their flocks to be the same idiots they are. Dangerous for them maybe, because once we recognize how glorious and magnificent the Creator is, false doctrines will fall apart and the divine truth will be revealed. What's the truth? What's the truth about dragons in heaven? Was Adam really dumbstruck by a silly little talking snake? Now the serpent was more subtle than any other wild creature, right? Subtle. Subtle means what? Oh man. Remember, they're eating your dragons to get what? And they partake of it against accidents of old age and prolong their lives and make their intellect subtle beyond all estimation. So that this subtleness is a direct result of eating the dragon, of having a high level of intellect. So the serpent was more subtle, right? This dragon had more juice. He was more intellectual than any other wild creature that Ahchwa had made. The Latin Vulgate uses the word serpens, while the Greek uses serpent or snake. What's interesting is how the ancient Hebrew text uses a word that is much different in meaning. Nachash. We're talking about these Nahashes throughout the Old Testament. Nahash is used to refer to power, even gigantic, powerful, gigantic, evil creatures. Let's go. Isaiah calls the Nahash a sea dragon, the great Leviathan. Job also uses Nahash to depict terrible sea monsters. So what they're calling terrible through these Christian or Catholic iconography, Catholic translations, they got to put the evil on it. But remember, when we talk seraphim, we talk dragons, we're talking the highest orders of the angels, the angel of the highest order. So don't let them put that one-dimensional evil trickery when you know what the serpent is. And you know there's a difference between these serpents and the dragon. One is renewing you. One is the actual life force itself, the mysterious substance of unknown origin that has this living spirit, where the living spirit, the spirit of who? They call it the universal spirit, but we know that's Ahchwa. It's in the blood of this dragon, or this fierce or violent person, man or woman. We're just seeing clearly. We're just talking etymology. So it's a great link for you to dig on as well. You know, Adam and Eve, you know, or we're just talking a dragon in the garden. You know what I mean? So I just like to get different perspectives, you know what I'm saying? You think this is an angel, we're just talking dragon. They like to say, you know, angels and demons, right? But in reality, the dragon is the angel, and they're demonizing the angel. Meanwhile, the fox plays the role of the serpent in Hebrew legends. Like what? Like what? Swiper, no swiping, right? So get that drop, man. Let's go. Is the serpent a dragon in Genesis 2 is what we're talking about. This is from the Scott Smith blog here, Genesis 3:14, in which God curses the serpent, Nahash, right? We're just talking about that Nahash. Because you have done this, cursed are you above all cattle, above all the wild animals, upon your belly. Is he cursing all dragons, or is he cursing this specific Nahash, angelic seraph, called Satan, all these things, right? To now have to go on his belly, and just like we got, you know, previously, does that really mean that he just got caught in this low frequency, that you'd be stuck here beneath the barrier? The serpent has arms and legs. Therefore, prior to this curse, this serpent was not crawling on its belly. What do you call a serpent with arms and legs? A dragon. And again, this same dragon is walking around, you know what I'm saying, in the book of Job, you know, to and fro, right? Then you got this Revelations 12 red dragon. But this cosmic situation going on is the cosmos, and it appears is the deception itself. Michael and his angels, you know, fighting against this dragon. The dragon and his angels fought. This is a similar story to a Leviathan story about Michael fighting Leviathan. This is not a story about, you know, human angels fighting dragons. This is a story itself about Michael and his angels, which are dragons themselves, going up against any hijack, fallen dragons. It's deep. So what do we about dragons? All right. So there was no ordinary garden variety snake in Eden, but a fire-breathing dragon. This revelation may leave you with many other questions. It leaves me with one main question. What was Adam doing when a dragon is threatening your princess, your Eve? What's a man supposed to do? Slay the dragon? You slay the dragon. You slay the dragon, right? What was Adam doing? All right, so this is hijack about slaying the dragon. You must slay the dragon. You see all these, you know, Christian iconography, slaying the dragon. But it's not just that. I mean, you got the Ethiopians literally eating the dragon. The reptile that the Ethiopians eat is the dragon. So what side are you on? Are you on the dragon rider or the dragon slayer? It's two different frequencies. These are opposites, right? This is how you slay the dragon, is with the opposites, the coming together of opposites. So on one side of the war, you're fighting with the dragon. On the other side of the war, you're fighting against it. If you're fighting against it, just know you're fighting against the living spirit, the universal spirit, Ahchwa. And there's a reason why they're slaying you. Are you on their side to slay and eat the dragon, to get against accidents of old age, to get youth, to get a fountain of youth, a synthetic fountain of youth? Because it won't last, right? Because you're not life. You're not the dragon. You don't see clearly. So then it goes into how serpent is mistranslated. All right, so dig it. Are we talking serpent or are we talking snake? We talking serpent or we talking snake? Because if you're talking sin, S-I-N, just remember you're also talking synacephalus, right? Sin. Let's go. And we'll dig on this, man, as we approach our dismount. Tannin, sea serpent, dinosaur, snake, dragon, or jackal. Well, we just got that the tannin is the dragon, and the tan, T-A-N, is the jackal, right? Is the jackal. But let's go. So dragon legends around the world have been prevalent for generations. Dragons are even mentioned in books in the Old Testament, but were they real creatures or just mythological? The Hebrew word tannin has been translated in several ways, but this paper will attempt to show that the term likely refers to both land and sea serpents or dragons. Just like we just proved, determining the meaning of tannin requires a close look at the actual Hebrew word and the study of the various contexts in which it appears. The word dinosaur refers strictly to land animals, but some people often label marine reptiles and flying reptiles as dinosaurs. Dinosaur is also a relatively new word, having been coined in 1841. So what were these animals called before 1841? Prior to this time, another word was used for large reptilian creatures. It was dragon. Not all dragons are flying dragons. Some are marine, water dragons. Some are land dragons. Answers in Genesis has often promoted the idea that many of the characteristics of historical, often considered mythological dragons actually match those of certain dinosaurs. The Bible describes a few fascinating creatures that some have classified as dragons. There's Leviathan, the mighty one, imperviously scaled sea creature that breathes fire. Right, this is also called the Most High's plaything, man. Like his damn near pet. We're gonna do a dismount in Press of John Legend and Sources to talk about how the Naga and his dragons got along, how they, would play with them, like they were cattle or like they were dogs, like literally play with them like that. But they're not dogs, are they? Another animal called Behemoth is described as being a plant-eating creature that moves its tail like a cedar and whose bones are like the beams of bronze or copper. Alright, sounds like a Bronchiosaurus, huh? These two creatures are described at length as specific beasts, but there is another Hebrew word used to describe a dragon-like creature, a tannin, which seems to cover a broad range of reptilian creatures. Two questions about the word tannin must be answered. Was it a sea serpent, snake, dragon, dinosaur, or simply a category of animals? And did it live in water or land or both? How is tannin defined by Bible scholars? So again, Bible scholars do not agree that tannin refers to a dragon, and this is because of this disagreement, many proposed definitions exist. There are at least three plausible reasons why theologians disagree as the definition of tannin. So you look at it, translators look very closely at the context of the passage to find the accurate translation of the Hebrew word, and sometimes the context is not clear enough to make a confident decision. Or there's confusion existing over two very similar words, tannin and what? Tannin. One with the N, one with the M. Tannin is a singular form of a creature like this dragon. The plural form would be tannin, as used in Genesis 1:21. Meanwhile, tannin is the plural form of tan, which is the jackal. All right, man. Evolutionary ideas have so affected every area of study, even biblical studies, that most theologians are unwilling to admit that this word could reference a real dragon. So that's really the real reason they're unwilling to admit the truth. And you got our own people in our own community also unwilling to admit the truth. So they cover it up, they attack us, they attack it. Let's look at how tannin is defined in various concordance and lexicons. Strong's exhaustive concordance. So the Bible defines tannin as a marine or land monster, sea serpent or jackal or dragon. See how they confuse it because they know they're not talking jackal. Sea monster, serpent, or whale. Right, which reminds you of that P.T. Barnum, when the P.T. Barnum Museum burned down. In the 1800s. Because it was housing 4 dragons, one of them named Phineas, the only one that survived. And they said what? P.T. Barnum's museum boiled 2 whales alive. Come on, man. So here's the, here's the illustration of it, right? Here's the museum burning because there were whales inside. What kind of whales live in a museum, man? Come on, man. We're not dummies, right? Have you ever seen a museum with whales inside? We're not talking SeaWorld. We're talking a museum with whales inside. So these whales are really code word for what? What are we getting? dragon, just like Moby Dick is code word for this white dragon. I believe it's called The Age of, it's a movie with Morgan Freeman, I believe. I think it's Morgan Freeman. But yeah, man, you dig on that. It's all about hunting this big white dragon, but that's the original story of Moby Dick. It wasn't a whale, it was a dragon. And these weren't whales that were boiled. These were Phineas's siblings, the other hatchlings of dragons. Now, who you think set this thing on fire if you have 4 dragons inside of it? I'll wait. 150 years ago. Only one dragon survived, Phineas, and he's still alive today in Fort Tryon State Park in New York, Upper Manhattan. They got a whole TDF Templeton Dragon Fund right now traded because they had to make a new enclosure for Phineas in 1972. A new enclosure, so they raised money with the Templeton Dragon Fund, traded today on the New York Stock Exchange as TDF. All starting because Phineas, PT Barnum, wanted to keep these 4 dragons in this museum. It burnt down. I wonder how. They say whales. Nah, not whales. We're talking dragons. Not whales. We're talking dragons. So keep digging on this tannin. I'm just leading you to the water as we go and as we flow. Ahchwa, you already know. Another great document, Flying Serpents and Dragons, the story of mankind's reptilian path. You got the seraphim, the flying serpent, right? The flying serpent or dragon of Moses. So again, Moses' staff turned into a copper dragon, not a brazen bronze. Not a brazen bronze serpent. Well, serpent is dragon. Or we're talking fox. Let's go. Old Testament explicit references to our serpent god ancestors have been all but eliminated over the centuries through a long process of selection and editing. When allusions to winged serpents are found, they are usually interpreted as merely allegorical. However, there is a strange incident related to the book of Numbers, again, number 21, concerning a bronze or brazen, or copper, bronze, copper, right? So you got this copper dragon, bronze, copper dragon, which raises many questions that are not fully addressed by biblical scholars. So they're going to take you through it. People grew restive on the journey, spoke against Ahchwa and Moses. Why did you make us come here? All that. It is difficult to escape the conclusion that the meaning of the incident is obviously idolatry and activity stringently forbidden in the scriptures. The seraph of Moses apparently had healing powers, an attribute which appeared time and time again with the flying serpent. So these dragons were able to heal. You got life, right? You have the what? The unknown origin. You have the living spirit can be extracted. It's able to heal, right? You have life, right? The living spirit, they can eat you. They can eat your dragons. Using occult arts they possess, they drive the dragons out of their caves, and they have an art of preparing their flesh, dragon flesh, naga flesh, and they partake of it against accidents of old age. They reverse their age. They get life. Oh man, we're just talking Moses and the dragon, man. Hold on, man. Oh yeah, I want to get that Baruch again. We're gonna get that Baruch again. Yeah, here we go. There we go. We just tab surfing. So you got life. These dragons had healing powers, right? We're talking about the seraph, right? Later, they started to worship the idols of these things. And this is what the issue was, that this real fire-breathing dragon that gave them life. And then they started to worship the images, right? Rule number 1, no images, right? Oh, man, so the early Hebrews apparently equated dragons with fiery, flying serpents, both which came under the name seraphim. The angels are the seraph, are the dragons. Angels are dragons who guarded the heavenly throne. This information is also found in Gnostic documents, which contain numerous references to seraphim or dragon-shaped angels. Seraphim or dragon-shaped angels. Seraphim or dragon-shaped angels who were the guardians of the heavens. We'll get more into this document, man. I'm just leading to the water. You know what I mean? Remember 2nd Baruch, man. The book of Baruch, man. 2nd Baruch 73, man. You know, this is the redemption period, man. For these are the things that have filled this earth with evils, and because of them, life of men came in yet greater confusion. Remember, we're talking about nobody again will die untimely, nor will any adversity take place. Unjust judgment, condemnations, contentions, revenges, bloods, passion, zeal, hate, all such things will go into condemnation, since they will be uprooted. So this is your redemption. It's the uprooting of all this condemnation. For these are the things that have filled the earth with evils, this condemnation, and because of them, life of men came in yet greater confusion. But what's going to happen, man? What's going to happen for us? The wild beast, right, will come from the wood and serve men. You will get your power over your animals back. And the apes and the dragons will come out of their holes to subject themselves to a child. The children will have their dragons back. They will come out of their holes to subject themselves to a child. And women will no longer have pain when they bear, nor will they be tormented when they yield the fruits of their womb. This is paradise, to have your dragons come out of their holes to subject themselves to the children, man. Ahchwa. Because they will stop eating us in these places where there's good flying dragons. Man, and you know, when you just talk Prester John, man, the legend and its sources. Just remember, man, in Prester John's kingdom, also there is towards the south in that region a certain place of ours at which the world ends, right? The further end is Americas, which is called the Cavern of Dragons. It is long and wide, excessively difficult, and most severe in severity, and difficult with the deepness and depth that is most deep and most cavernly, and full of secret places. Indeed, in this place there are infinite thousands of terrible dragons, which the residents of the surrounding provinces guard with the greatest diligence. They guard their dragons, lest any wizards from India or elsewhere are able to steal one of these dragons. For in fact, the princes of the Indians are accustomed to have dragons at weddings and at other banquets of theirs, and with dragons they do not consider the banquet. Without their dragons, they do not consider the banquet to be complete. Without your dragons, Naga, there is no banquet. And just as cattle and mule herders are accustomed to humble and humanize the horses young, to teach them and tame them, and to call them by their own names, to place bridle and saddle on them, and to ride them everywhere they wish, so too these men have custody and command of the dragons, and the dragon commanders humble the same dragons by their